There is a moment that can completely change the way a woman sees you. It can happen during an ordinary conversation. You're sitting together. You're laughing. She's comfortable around you. She trusts you. She tells you things she doesn't tell everyone else. And then you suddenly wonder, could she ever see me as more than a friend? That's where most men make their biggest mistake. They panic. They become overly romantic. They start complimenting her constantly. They text her all day. They suddenly act like a completely different person. And instead of creating attraction, they create pressure. But what if the real secret isn't trying harder? What if attraction begins when you stop trying to force a result and start changing the emotional quality of the interaction? Because you cannot manufacture attraction in 3 minutes. You cannot control another person's feelings, but you can create a moment where she experiences you differently. And sometimes that moment can be surprisingly powerful. Today, we're going to explore 7 psychology-based principles that can help a friendship become more emotionally charged without manipulation, fake confidence, or desperate behavior. And the first one begins with something most men completely overlook. You need to stop acting like you're trying to win her approval. Think about the difference between 2 men. The first man walks into a conversation thinking, how can I make her like me? Did she laugh? Does she think I'm attractive? Should I text her again? His attention is constantly focused on her reaction. The second man thinks, I enjoy talking to her, but I don't need to perform. He's relaxed. He's curious. He's present. He doesn't desperately chase approval. That difference changes the entire energy of the conversation. Because when you're obsessed with whether someone likes you, you stop being yourself. You start monitoring every word. You laugh too quickly. You agree with everything. You compliment too much. You become predictable. And eventually, the other person can feel that you're trying to get something from them. That's not attraction. That's pressure. So the first principle is simple. Stop trying to convince her to like you. Instead, let her experience who you actually are. This doesn't mean acting cold. It doesn't mean ignoring her. And it definitely doesn't mean playing games. It means you stop making her reaction the measurement of your worth. That's confidence. And confidence is attractive because it creates emotional ease. Now, here's where things become interesting. The second principle is to create emotional contrast. Most friendships become predictable. You talk about work. You talk about family. You joke around. You discuss random things. You send memes. You complain about life. It's comfortable. But comfort alone doesn't automatically create romantic attraction. If you want someone to experience you differently, the conversation sometimes needs a different emotional quality. Instead of always asking factual questions, ask questions that reveal personality. For example, what is something you've always wanted to do but never told many people? Or what kind of person brings out the best version of you? Or even, what is one thing people always misunderstand about you? Now notice what happened. You didn't ask, do you like me? You didn't make a romantic confession. You simply moved the conversation from information to emotion. And that's important because emotional connection is often built through meaningful self-disclosure. When 2 people share something personal and respond with genuine curiosity, the interaction can feel more intimate. But there's a rule. Don't interrogate her. Don't fire questions at her like an interview. Share something about yourself too. If she tells you something personal, don't immediately jump to the next question. Stay with the moment. Say, that's interesting. I wouldn't have guessed that about you. And let the conversation breathe. Because sometimes attraction grows in the pauses, not in the constant talking. And that leads to the third principle. Give her your full attention, but don't perform for her. There's a huge difference. When someone feels genuinely listened to, they often feel valued. Put the phone away. Make natural eye contact. Actually listen to the story. Remember details. Notice what excites her. Notice what makes her laugh. And don't immediately turn every conversation into an opportunity to flirt. That's where many men ruin a good connection. They hear something personal and immediately respond, "You're so beautiful." Or, "That's why." Or, "I've always wanted a girl like you." Suddenly, the conversation changes. She realizes, he's not just listening. He's trying to move this somewhere. And if she doesn't feel the same way, she may pull back. Instead, let the connection develop naturally. Be interested in her as a person. That's important because genuine attraction cannot be built on pretending to care. Now here's the fourth principle. Let her see a side of you that isn't the same version everyone else sees. This doesn't mean revealing your deepest secrets immediately. It means showing personality, passion, humor, conviction, purpose. Maybe you're passionate about music. Maybe you love traveling. Maybe you've spent years learning something unusual. Maybe you have a story that shaped the way you see life. Talk about things that genuinely matter to you. Because attraction isn't only about appearance. People are drawn to emotional qualities, confidence, warmth, humor, curiosity, ambition, kindness, self-respect. And one of the most attractive things a person can communicate is, I have a life that I genuinely enjoy. Note, please choose me. I like who I am, and I'd enjoy sharing some of that life with you. That's a completely different emotional message. And if you're a mature man, especially over 50 or 55, this can become one of your greatest strengths. You don't need to compete with younger men. You don't need to pretend you're someone you're not. You have experience, stories, perspective, emotional maturity, life lessons. The goal isn't to hide your age. It's to carry yourself with confidence in who you've become. Now let's talk about something many men misunderstand: flirting. Flirting doesn't have to be sexual. It doesn't have to be intense. It doesn't have to make her uncomfortable. Healthy flirting is often playful, light, mutual, and easy to stop if the other person doesn't reciprocate. For example, if she playfully teases you, you can tease her back. If she smiles and maintains eye contact, you can respond warmly. If she clearly enjoys playful conversation, you can let that energy continue. But watch reciprocity. Does she initiate? Does she tease you back? Does she seek your attention? Does she continue the conversation? Does she voluntarily spend time with you? Does she seem comfortable with light flirtation? Those patterns matter more than one isolated signal. And this is where the fifth principle becomes crucial. Don't mistake friendliness for attraction. A woman smiling at you doesn't automatically mean she wants a relationship. A woman touching your arm doesn't automatically mean she wants romance. A woman texting you doesn't automatically mean she's interested. People have different personalities. Some are naturally warm. Some are physically expressive. Some are friendly with everyone. That's why mature attraction psychology requires context. Look for consistent mutual behavior, not one magical signal. And if she doesn't reciprocate, respect that. A healthy relationship cannot begin with pressure. Now here's the sixth principle. Create space for her to choose you. This might be the most important lesson in the entire video. If you are always initiating, always texting, always asking to meet, always starting conversations, always complimenting, always chasing, you may never discover whether she actually wants to move toward you because you're doing all the moving. Instead, allow natural space, not as a manipulation tactic, not to make her jealous, not to punish her, simply because healthy connection requires two people to participate. If you stop carrying the entire interaction and she begins reaching toward you herself, that's useful information. Maybe she messages first. Maybe she asks when you're free. Maybe she sends you something because it reminded her of you. Maybe she creates opportunities to spend time together. Maybe she starts bringing up dating or relationships. Those behaviors don't guarantee attraction, but they show participation. And participation matters because the goal isn't to make her chase you. The goal is to discover whether she genuinely wants to move closer. And now we reach the seventh principle. Be honest when the connection becomes genuinely mutual. This is where many men stay trapped for years. They become the perfect friend. They listen to everything. They provide emotional support. They are always available. They secretly hope she'll eventually realize, he's the man I've been looking for. But she may never realize it because she genuinely thinks you're offering friendship. If you've developed mutual chemistry and you're interested in more, eventually you may need to communicate that respectfully, not with a dramatic confession, not with emotional pressure, not I've loved you for years and you're breaking my heart. Instead, something simple. I really enjoy what we have, and lately I've started seeing you as more than a friend. I'd like to take you on an actual date. If you don't feel the same, I respect that. That's confidence. You're communicating your truth, and you're giving her freedom to communicate hers. She may say yes. She may say no. She may need time. Whatever she says, respect it. Because your goal isn't to manipulate her into attraction. Your goal is to create the conditions for genuine connection and discover whether the feeling exists on both sides. And here's something powerful. If she says no, that doesn't mean you failed. It means you received clarity. You now know where you stand. and clarity can save you years of emotional confusion. If she says yes, that's not the finish line either. That's the beginning. Because attraction isn't sustained by one conversation. It's sustained through compatibility, trust, respect, shared values, communication, humor, affection, and the ability to handle differences without destroying each other. That's why the idea of turning a friend into attraction, 3 minutes, needs to be understood correctly. There is no psychological trick that guarantees someone will fall for you in 3 minutes. Anyone promising that is selling fantasy. But 3 minutes can be enough to change the quality of an interaction. 3 minutes of genuine attention. 3 minutes of playful connection. 3 minutes of honest conversation. 3 minutes where you aren't trying to impress. 3 minutes where she experiences you as confident, present, emotionally grounded, and authentic. That can matter. Because attraction sometimes begins with a moment, but it grows through repeated experiences. And if you want to create those experiences, there are several mistakes you need to avoid. Don't become overly available. Don't pretend to be someone you're not. Don't use jealousy. Don't intentionally ignore her. Don't manufacture emotional insecurity. Don't use manipulation. Don't invade her personal boundaries. And never interpret physical touch as automatic consent or attraction. If you ever become physically affectionate, mutual comfort and clear consent matter more than any supposed psychology trick. Real attraction should feel safe for both people. And here's another mistake. Don't turn every conversation into an attraction test. You don't need to analyze every smile, every text, every emoji, every glance. That mindset will make you anxious. Instead, look at the bigger picture. Does she enjoy being around you? Does she initiate connection? Does she make time for you? Does she open up? Does she show curiosity about your life? Does she reciprocate playful energy? Does she communicate clearly? Does she respect you? Do you respect her? That's where meaningful attraction becomes visible. Now imagine the difference between two men. One spends every conversation thinking, how do I make her attracted to me? The other thinks, let's see if we genuinely connect. Which man is more relaxed? Which man is more authentic? Which man is more capable of handling rejection? The second man. And ironically, that's often the man who creates the strongest impression. Because he's not trying to control the outcome. He's participating in the moment. That's emotional confidence. And it becomes even more important as you get older. You don't need teenage games. You don't need manipulation. You don't need to pretend you don't care. You need maturity. You need clarity. You need emotional control. And you need the courage to say what you actually want. Because one of the biggest relationship regrets people have later in life isn't always rejection. Sometimes it's never being honest, never asking, never taking the chance, spending years wondering, what if? So if you're genuinely interested in a female friend, don't spend years secretly hoping she'll read your mind. Build the connection. Pay attention to reciprocity. Create meaningful conversations. Let her know the real you. Give the relationship room to breathe. And when the moment is right, communicate honestly. Because attraction isn't something you force. It's something two people discover. And sometimes the most attractive thing you can do is stop trying to manufacture attraction altogether. Be present. Be interesting because you actually have interests. Be confident because you know your worth. Be kind without becoming a people pleaser. Be playful without crossing boundaries. Be honest without demanding an outcome. And most importantly, give her the freedom to choose. Because if she chooses you freely, that connection means infinitely more than anything you could manipulate her into feeling. So remember these 7 principles. Don't chase approval. Create emotional depth. Give genuine attention. Show your authentic personality. Use respectful, reciprocal flirting. Give space for mutual effort. And when the connection is clearly there, communicate honestly. You don't need a secret trick. You need emotional intelligence. You need courage. And you need to understand that the most powerful form of attraction isn't making someone unable to resist you. It's becoming someone they genuinely enjoy being around and allowing them to decide whether they want to come closer. Because real love doesn't begin when you control someone's feelings. It begins when two people freely discover, I feel good when I'm with you. And if that feeling is mutual, you won't need to force the next step. It will happen naturally.